Hey, this is John. In this video, we're going to be comparing the penetrative power and performance and perforative power and performance between three different German World War II 7.92 by 57mm, or as is commonly known, 8mm Mauser rounds. All three of these are available right now for purchase at different vendors online. The L.37, which we have here, and the S.S down here on the end, the standard full metal jacket, and the L.37 S.m.K AP rounds are available from SG Ammo. I want to point out that both of them are sold as collector ammunition and they're not guaranteed to fire. We'll get into that a little later. And the center, the L.40 S.m.K rounds, are available from multiple vendors online. So if you look those up right now, you can find any of these rounds. So it's part of why I wanted to do this. I figured if there are three of these available on the market right now, it seems like a good time to test all three. I mean, how often do you have three different German World War II 8mm rounds to test? So before we get into the measuring and all that and going into why one of these is definitely a collector round, let's go to the range, take a look at this block getting shot, and then we'll get into the measurements.
I think I hit it.
Okay, now that we're back from the range, let's go ahead and take a look and see what kind of either penetrative or maybe even perforative powers that these rounds had on our 1-inch thick mild steel plate. Now, if you haven't watched any of my other steel penetration videos before, all of those shots were taken at 100 feet into a 1-inch thick A36 mild steel plate, 6 by 6 inches. Let's go ahead and start with our full metal jacket, the SS round over here on, I guess that'd be your right. Has an overall splash width of 0.65, that's actually not the splash, that's the inside diameter, 0.65, 16.5 millimeters. The splash rises from 0.15 to 0.12 above the plate surface, or 3.9 millimeters to 5.4 millimeters. It has a depth of 0.302 inches, or 7.68 millimeters, and no dimpling on the back. Oh, there's a little leaf there. Get that off of there. Throw it on the table beside me. Now that we've looked at our regular full metal jacket round and we've noticed it did not penetrate the plate, as you can see, it did leave a little dimple in the bottom, but overall it did what we see a lot of full metal jacket rounds do, which seems to be wad up into a ball. Now, well, let's look at our L.40 here at the center. You can see a marked difference between that and an AP round. The AP round looks almost like a cone. Oh, let's see if it did perforate the plate. Oh, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, can't really see that. But it did actually perforate the plate. The little tiny hole there in the back. Let's go ahead and see what the measurements bore out. It is 0.54 inches in diameter, 13.7 millimeters. The splash above the plate surface is between 0.12 and 0.18 inches, or what was that, about 3 millimeters to 4.6 millimeters, something like that. I may be wrong there. I may not be able to read my notes clearly. Regardless, the depth is about 1.12 inches or 28.5 millimeters, which actually is thicker than the plate. As you can see, rises quite a bit above the back of the plate there. Let's see, the rear dimple is about 1/2 inch in diameter, 12.76 millimeters actually, and actually raises above the side of the or back of the plate by 0.10 inches or 2.65 millimeters. So all borne out, that equals it made it through the plate, although not enough to go through the back, I don't believe. Let's get over to our L.37 round, which is over here. As you can see, put a nice little hole through the plate as well. Same sort of cone shape as the L.40. Measurements come out to 0.52 in diameter in inches, 13.4 millimeters. Splash above the plate surface is about 0.15 to 0.17. 3.9 to 4.25 millimeters. Depth through the plate is 1.25 inches, so slightly more than the L.40 at 1.22 or 1.122, and 28.6 millimeters. Dimple on the back is about 0.159 inches or 13.8 millimeters, and rises above the surface about 0.08 inches or 2.74 millimeters. So those are the general results from the mild steel. These are actually the most penetrative of any AP rounds that I've shot into the mild steel. Just slightly better than the S.M.K L'Espère, the S.M.K with tracer. Although the S.M.K tracer rounds are supposed to be slightly less penetrative, so that would make sense. Now that we're done with our mild steel plate, let's go ahead and take a look at our AR400 plate. But before we look at it, we'll look at the range shots just so you can see what it did when I shot it. Okay, now that we're back from the range and shooting our 3/8 AR400 plate, we can really see where the differences lie between AP ammunition and full metal jacket ammunition. Not that you couldn't see it on the mild steel plate, I mean, as the rounds did nearly penetrate it, but that's still not that much more dramatic than what the full metal jacket round did to it. I mean, it penetrated it pretty deeply. It may not have perforated it, even though these also may not have quite perforated it, but nearly. But it still penetrated it pretty deeply. Now looking at our 3/8 AR400 plate, you can see a stark difference between the full metal jacket round, which we have right here, our SS. It only penetrated the 3/8 AR400 plate to a depth of 0.008 inches, or 0.2 millimeters, with a width of about 0.08 inches, or 2.09 millimeters. So not very big, depth-wise or width-wise. Let's go ahead and take a look at our, we'll start with our, well, we'll do the L.40 up here in the corner. Here's the L.40 round on the top. It goes all the way through the plate, so that's 3/8 of an inch, 9.8 millimeters or so. It's actually what, 0.388 of an inch. At the top, let's see, it has a kind of elongated shape to the hole. From here to here, it's 0.425 inches. On the width here, it's 0.248 inches, or about 10.8 millimeters, or 6.3 millimeters in width. And on the back, we have a hole of about 0.26 to 0.218, or 0.218 to 0.26, or 5.3, or 5.53 millimeters to 6.61 millimeters. So that L.40 round did go all the way through that 3/8 AR400 plate without even stopping. It didn't really even change that dramatically in shape. Let's go ahead and grab our half of our L.40 round. And as you can see, we had the other half of it. That pretty well clears right through it. Now, I do have our degloved L.37 round over here, so we can take that. As you can see, it made it all the way through it if it didn't have a little extra on there. So how does our L.37 round compare to that? Well, the width of the L.37 hole is 0.39 inches to 0.24 inches, or 0.24 to 0.39, or 6.11 millimeters to 9.92 millimeters on the top. And on the back, it's between 0.232 and 0.238, and 5.89 millimeters and 6.04 millimeters. So again, a hole just slightly smaller than the entry hole, which makes, well, actually, it's kind of the opposite of what you'd think with an entry and exit wound. Normally exit is bigger than the entry, but in this case, the entry is bigger than the exit in both cases. So that's kind of an interesting development. Let's take our degloved L.37. Doesn't quite fit through there so well, but it did make it through the other side of the plate. So that did perforate our 3/8 AR400 plate. In fact, it's the first round to completely perforate it, as here we have our APT round, which dimpled and cracked the back, but did not put a hole through it. So, and again, full metal jacket round. Here's another full metal jacket 8mm Mauser. Neither one of them doing much to it. Your AP rounds, go right through it. without a problem. So hopefully you found that informative. Oh, and I want to get into, and I almost didn't, why these L.37 rounds are definitely collector rounds. Now, they sell the s.S rounds also as collector rounds, but I didn't have any problems with these firing. The L.37s, on the other hand, let's go ahead and open them up. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 11 that I tried to fire that did not fire. So out of 11, I only had 4 that actually detonated. And again, SG Ammo is selling these as collector rounds. They're not expected to fire, but some of them did, some of them did not. I'm glad that I at least had 4 that did fire, and I could get the test done for you guys. So if you found that informative, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be testing the L.40 rounds against some other things. Now that I've seen that they go through this 3/8, I'm really curious as to what they won't go through. And if you watch my video on these, I actually purchased a fair amount of these that I can do a lot of different testing with. So in the future, we will see more of the L.40 round. We will not be seeing any more of the L.37 round, and probably won't be seeing any more of the s.S round. So thanks for watching. Hope you found it informative. I enjoyed doing it, and thanks. Have a great day.